Welcome to Barnaby's podcast, Eye of the Beholder. Barnaby's is one of the leading search engines for art, design, antiques and collectibles from over 3,000 auction houses worldwide. We aim to make the art and auction market more transparent and accessible to everyone, from beginners to collectors and professionals. In today's episode of the Barnaby's podcast, Eye of the Beholder, we talk to digital art patron Pablo Rodriguez-Fraile, founder of both Anterdit and Aorist. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Pontus. It's a pleasure and honor to be here.
So, how did you get into collecting digital art?
I'll try to get into the backstory. I'll try to be brief and relevant to what is here. But I was lucky enough that I was brought up in a family where art and architecture and culture in general was always at the center, both at home and when we traveled. And I'm also married to my beautiful and fantastic wife, who is an artist herself, not a professional artist, but she's an architect and a designer. And we actually have been collecting art since we started dating, and we've not at the pace that we do now. Now, my professional activities took me through through different paths, where I landed at the blockchain ecosystem many years ago. And I realized what was happening in this new movement, this new community that was being built around art, around culture, and it was a perfect marriage of my passion with my deep understanding of the technology, of what it meant, and of a little bit of thought of what I thought could come from this. So that's a little bit of the backstory of how I got into digital art.
Do you remember the first time you kind of met NFT?
I do remember, and it wasn't directly through art. I actually met the NFTs through the concept of the metaverse through Decentraland. And soon after, when around the land, we were trying to develop some ideas, and I realized then what was happening in the art world. So I remember vividly. It was a very interesting period, a very different period of how it is right now. And I remember as a beautiful marriage of my passion and my profession, which has been really taking most of my time, attention, resources since then. So I am very happy, and I remember that moment vividly. Yes.
Who were some of the first digital artists in your collection?
Yeah, so there were a few artists as I was starting to collect in the space. From the beginning. There was one artist in particular that I hold a very good memory of. His name was Riolite. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But he was a little bit of like a professor, an early adopter, an early pusher of this technology and this medium, and somebody that we really owe a lot to from the early beginnings. Now, outside of that, what I would say is my first true, collecting experience in a way that, I went down that rabbit hole, and I really tried to understand the artists in depth, their practice, and really understand a little bit of where they were going, and really what ignited, my true passion after that was really when I found about Pac. Pac is a digital creator that I'm a big fan of, and that's a little bit when I got a little bit more serious and more active in collecting digital art.
And when was this?
This was, I believe, in 2019 when I started, being a lot more active in this field. Yeah.
Early adopter, but not the first one.
I was an early adopter on NFTs since 2017 in the metaverse, but in digital art, early 2019. It's still when I got like very, 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 very active. At that time, there were very few participants, very few other collectors or patrons in the space, and during that time, nobody else really was taking the leaps and trying to support the ecosystem in the way that we tried to. So it was very early for this movement.
Have you seen a difference, a change of audience through the years when it comes to NFT and digital art?
Absolutely. Now, at the beginning, there were a few other colleagues that I admire that were supporting that had, I think, the same realization that I think I did, which is understanding that we're going to a more and more digital place every time that we move into the future. Now we're always on our phones, on our computers. We get into a car and it's full of screens. We walk in the street and there's screens around everywhere. And it's just normal that a creative component of this new generation happens as well through the digital. Now we have this amazing technology that now allows for a market to be developed here. And I think it's exciting to just be part of this revolution. What happened is that those early adopters, I think, had a little bit of these thesis that I just described. And now there's a lot of people that have been drawn to the space by realizing this, and B, also, it has gathered a lot of attention, in terms of monetary values, in terms of big headlines, in terms of success stories, and I think that also attracts a lot of people. The reality, though, is that we're probably at the moment still a little bit tied, a little bit more than what we would like. In my opinion, that will be a healthy and mature balance with a lot of people that are come more from the digital and blockchain ecosystem, and have some other valid as well intentions, but some other intentions of the pure collecting as it revolves from digital art.
You sold the Beeple NFT for over $6 million in 2021 that you bought for just $66,000 a year earlier, right? Why do you think the price increased so exponentially?
The reality is, I think there were a few factors that contributed to this. Of course, it was during a period where, again, there was quite the explosion of interest around digital assets and digital media, around the world. There were a few external factors that were contributing to it, just global macro and economic and the pandemic factors that were contributing a little bit to this as well. But the reality is, I always say that it's not that I sold it for a lot more. I think it was actually probably undervalued. If you looked at some of the transactions that came after it, the reality is that I was able to acquire that work at a price that I think was completely undervalued for somebody like Mike, like people. The reality is that it's not that Mike just suddenly one day appeared and was the most known creator of this digital movement. This was a person that had been doing this in a very disciplined manner for well over a decade, for 13 years straight, releasing every day his digital artworks to the public, to their audience, that he had incredible accolades from every single person that had worked with him in the past, that he was incredibly talented with the tools that he used. And he had a lot of the virtues to making a symbol and a leader of this movement. For me, it was very obvious when I understood around Mike, around people, and around what he represents, that he was a person that was going to be very successful and was going to be a leader, a symbol of this movement. So I would say that it was mostly an underpriced when I acquired it at first.
I have to ask you, was that paid in Bitcoin, I guess, or was it in pure dollars?
No, it was actually paid in pure dollars, and great. And actually, the idea is, the driver or the reasons why I am collecting is not driven by monetary reasons, and I barely ever sell some works, but I think it was important during that time, to also have a statement saying, hey, this is valid. This is has true value. The digital age is here to stay, and there's a big reason to think why these artists of today of this movement are as important in our history as the most important contemporary artists of today.
We heard about those enormous prices also the years after that, actually. But would you say that the NFT market has been a boom and we're more reaching a, shall we say, healthy reality nowadays?
I think so. And in a way, this is rather a little bit controversial, but I somewhat welcome it. The reality is that we had a lot of we had the perfect storm for these big rising prices, a nascent industry, a high interest, in society for different reasons, and in general, all the right reasons for this to really go a little bit higher and have a little bit more speculation than what we expected. Then, the macroeconomic realities also hit. This is not only in our industry. It's, I think, across the board. And I think that things are coming a little bit more to normality now. I think we're seeing now what what I personally expected to happen over time. I think that now it's finally really coming together, which is what I call the decoupling. But we're starting to see the change of this. In general, this we're starting to see a general trend towards lower. But those projects, those artists, those creators, those those experiments that are actually that have substance, that are being thoughtful, that are being diligent, and that have a community. I think they're sustaining not only the value, but in many cases also increasing. And I think we're starting to really normalize around the ecosystem. Another beautiful thing that is happening is we're starting to see the differentiation between the different verticals in the space. So we always think of NFTs as encompassing everything, and I think it's too broad of a word. The reality is that we can, perfectly. They're all valid. They're all here. They all have the community, but we can have PFP or collectibles. We can have, digital art. We can have land. We can have financial assets, and we can have all of these things as well. That I think would do a better job at describing what each of these verticals do, and would be better for each of them individually and as a whole.
But you are founder of Aorist, a platform focusing on climate-forward digital art commissions. Can you explain what you do and how it contributes to sustainability in the NFT market?
Yes, the reality is that as I was having this early activity in the space, where during a long time I was the most active collector or patron in the digital art movement. I realized that there were a couple problems with the ecosystem that were not really allowing the space to move forward in the way that we did, and it was quite a focus on the general ethos around the blockchain and around the technology instead of around the art itself. And it was all very digital, and perhaps the curation was a little bit lacking in sophistication at some point. So we seek to launch a platform that wants to elevate digitally native artists that are creating at a stage in their career where they're expanding, and they're creating again in a digitally native format, but with a physical manifestation of their work. So we try to appear in art-centric events around the world, and art-centric communities around the world, and try to become that bridge between the more traditional world, this newer world, the more analog world, and the digital world in a way that is easy for everybody to participate, to experience in a physical manner, and yeah, we try to work with with those artists that are really focused on the art first, and we've been quite happy with success so far and the engagement from our audience. We were, I don't know if you remember, the Rafika Nadal large screen that was at the beach in Miami Art Week a couple of years ago, and the Random International Living Room as well that was presented this year in Miami Beach, the immersive installation that also outputs your own personal digitalized artwork of your experience inside. So yeah, that's a little bit of, and we also then work with artists like Andres Reisinger, like David Guayola, like Sofia Crespo, that are just seeking to connect with their audience in a digital yet physically manifested way.
But when you say when you call yourself a, let's say, platform, are you curating the platform? Are you the one who says that you're valid here, like a gallery owner, or is it more like anyone can put up their artworks?
No, it's not like everybody can put up their artworks. It's curated by us. We work very close with the artist in everything really of the process. However, I would say that we're a little bit different to a gallery because we also commission a lot of works, and we present them in major public settings. And we have those many times are not necessarily for sale. We also have a platform again that is built in a technology that is energy efficient. We automatically purchase carbon credits with every transaction that happens in our marketplace. We allow everything is priced in US dollars. Whatever is sold through the platform is priced in US dollars, but a payment is available in credit card, debit card, ACH, wire, and crypto in different chains. And again, we have a sophisticated way of having a very clear user experience where everything is really focused around the art and around around the art and around the artist. We also have sustainability as one of the core principles of what we're doing. We had the collaboration with the Reef Line, an ongoing collaboration with the Reef Line, also with the Ocean Space in Venice, and again, we automatically purchase carbon credits with every transaction that happens on the platform. So we have a commitment to keep on, supporting the digital ecosystem in a sustainable way, and we'll continue to partner up with in ways that allows us to further improve on this.
So back to you and your own collection. You are now lending your collection or showing it. Is featured at the Venus over Manhattan exhibition in New York this month. Tell us about that.
Yes, that is correct. We have, I think, what I think is something quite exciting. It's the first time that that an established gallery such as Venus over Manhattan does a full exhibition of only digital art centered around the art. I'm very, very happy and pleased with the work and the collaboration with the gallery to come to this exhibition. It's a commercial exhibition, so the works are for sale. And the idea behind is, again, to continue to create this bridge between the more traditional and analog world and what's happening here in this movement. The reality is that the idea behind is to showcase that you can certainly live with this art in the same way that you live with with traditional art in your home. Everything is presented in a very sophisticated, elegant way, in a way as you could also show it at home. There's some things that are more the digital thing, so with actual screens, and some that actually have the physical manifestations of digital creations. And again, it's a show that opened. I received very positive accolades when it opened on the 10th of February, and it's going to be open until the 14th of March in New York, in the Upper East Side, in Venus over Manhattan Gallery. And everybody's welcome to come and join. And I think that you will see a selection of a lot of significant works from what I personally think are some of the most important creators in the different fields within digital art, because we have generative art, we have programmable art, we have just purely figurative or aesthetic based art, we have conceptual digital art, and a little bit of everything, so that it gives a little bit of a glimpse at the possibilities of what is really happening in what I consider fine art, fine digital art.
For an amateur digital art collector or some that wants to get into the field, what advice would you give them? Because there's so many that are interested to get into this business, right? But where to start?
I think the reality is that this is a very open and inclusive space where not only the collectors but the artists are also engaging in online communities and just communicating all the time. So what I would say is, come join us. Come into a few groups, participate in social media, try to reach out to artists, to other collectors, and just get involved. What I would say is, I personally, the way that I collect is a little bit different to perhaps the realities of what a first mover in this. Sorry, not a first mover, but a person that's coming, a new participant in this industry should consider. But I would say, please spend the time. Please spend the time to actually, understand the artist, understand the different types of works that are available. To look for some work that you actually like, and you won't be able to come in the first time and outcompete people that are doing this professionally for a living if your objective is to just make money. But I think the objective needs to be a lot more than that. It needs to participate in this ecosystem and to collect something that you like. So, and it's something that you like, and that an artist that you can support in other ways than just collecting their work. So spend some time, learn about the artist, look about the virtues of their work, of their practice, understand the sophistication of their work, where they're coming from, where they're going, and spend the time and make a selection. Please always on something that you have a personal connection, whether that's aesthetic or conceptual or community-wise or any sort of connection, but make sure that you also have a connection, because it's not going to be just a one-time thing. It's going to be about learning, about participating. So take it easy and spend the time before you commit. Yeah.
That's a very good advice, whatever it comes to in the art world, right? But so you are obviously, you're not a beginner anymore. So what do you look for when collecting digital art?
Yeah, so again, that's a good question. The reality is that I do look at a few things. I think that there's a lot of talent around the world now, and a lot of creative individuals that are really that are really capable of producing some wonderful works. But I do think that it takes a lot more to actually sustain a long-term creative career over the long term. And I think that there's a few things that are needed to be really an artist that is going to transcend this movement and really go to that to that next greatness that I think some of the artists are really pushing. The reality is, one of them, I like to see mastery of their tools. I think that you need to, and that leads to a good execution. Even if you have a good idea, if you're not able to actually portray it and have an output that resemblance in the exact way that you're trying to portray it, I think that it is a problem for the art. So I think, again, you need to be a master of your tools that you're using. You need to use the medium properly. So, for example, in this digital movement, I think that traditional art, that analog art is great, that a painting is great, but and I collect it as well. Taking a painting and taking a scanner and then selling it as an NFT is not a good use of the medium. You want to create digitally. You want to utilize the technology that's available to come up with some concepts and some tools that are part of this. I like artists that are disciplined, that are always striving for moving forward, that understand where they're coming from, that know a little bit of where they're going to, not necessarily with a roadmap. I also like to understand a little bit the audience. I like to understand their community around it, who is currently supporting their work. And I already mentioned this, but this is a given. You need to have a connection to their work, whether it's aesthetic, conceptual, or anything around that needs to be that connection. So I am pretty picky, actually. And the last thing that I say is, I'm blessed with this, but I really, truly recommend this to everybody, because it's actually a very key indicator of in general success and long-term sustainability as well, which is the personality of the artist. The majority of artists in this digital realm are actually alive and very active in the conversations in social media and in the communities. Just artists that are positive, that are a positive force for you, are always going to be a good thing. Yeah.
How many percent at the market right now would you say is more tech? Interested by the tech or the art?
Yeah, I was alluding to this a little bit earlier. This is where I think that we need a little bit more balancing. The reality is that, given the conditions of how this all arose, we have a lot of participants, which, again, it's valid. They have all the right to participate and to be part of this. And it's also because of, in my opinion, mostly them, we have seen the huge surge in interest in the space. But we have a lot of participants that are mostly traders, and they're treating many of these assets as commodities, as financial assets. And again, I think a healthy balance in this is present in every market as well, in the traditional art market. But a healthier balance, I think, is needed. I think we need the inclusion of more collectors, and that will happen, in my opinion, through making the ways in which you can collect in the digital realm a little bit easier. So, no need to be a blockchain PhD in order to participate. It should be with platforms where you can just come inside and purchase something the same way that you would in the traditional world.
Might be a hard question to answer for you, but do you have a favorite piece or pieces in your collection?
No, that's unfortunately like a question I cannot answer directly. Favorite piece, even though I can say in general a few artists that I think are very significant for different ways. And that I really support, greatly, through the collection. I think that, of course, Rafika Nadola was, his first real collector and supporter, and still undoubtedly the largest. I've collected every release he's ever put out in this domain, and a very similar story with people. Again, I have a soft spot for Pac. It was my first true passion, really, of a digital creator. But there are a couple, or 3 or 4 other artists that I think are very, very relevant and are going to be remembered as some of the top. I really hold them dear in my collection, in my heart, and to friends as well now. One of them is, Andres Reisinger, which actually, if I had to choose one work that I truly love from the collection, it might be Arcadia. There's a collaboration between him, Rack, and Arcades. Just a beautiful, beautiful poem, both literal poem as well as visual, and with an incredible score. It's just something very, very special. And then I love another artist that is a female artist that is I think also very relevant for the times now, as AI creation is becoming very relevant. Her name is Sofia Crespo. She's a wonderful artist that I think is going to be. It's already well regarded, but going to be extraordinarily successful with her practice. I think she's the best at what she does, and she's a wonderful, wonderful human as well. And then somebody like Davide Quayola, who's a little bit more established. He has been now creating in this digital format for almost 2 decades, and is what I would consider a contemporary digital impressionist painter, actually, if that makes any sense. And an artist that I think is extraordinarily sophisticated, and one that will 100% be remembered as one of the most again, sophisticated and important creators of this movement. And there's so many other artists that I could name. It's such a long list of incredible artists that I think are defining this time. But those are maybe a short list of some of my favorites.
And what about your platform again? How do you see the future of your platform? Will that be the place to go to for everyone collecting NFT, or?
No, I don't think it's for everybody collecting NFTs. I hope we try to be the platform where collectors are finding digital art of both domains, of the digital and the traditional ecosystem, come and share. We hope to continue to work with all these amazing artists that we have the pleasure of working with now, and to continue to expand our offering and our presence at the global stage, and to continue to elevate the amazing artists and the amazing innovation and talent that we're seeing in this ecosystem. But yeah, we're very happy and so far have amazing relationships with all of the artists that we have worked with. It has been a big success, and we hope that that things continue in the way that they have panned out so far.
And maybe you already answered my last question then, saying that, but what is the future for digital art and NFTs and with what's happening with crypto?
Yeah, so I hope that in particular as it relates to digital art, I think NFTs, again, it's a little bit complex and something that I might like a little bit of information around. I'm not a participant in other parts of the NFT ecosystem. But I think in digital art is going to be more and more, disjointed with what happens over time in the crypto world. I think we're going to see the inclusion of a lot of people that just want to participate, and for that they don't necessarily need to be for any reason, either financially or blockchain sophisticated, and just people that want to be part of the community, that want to collect, that want to support, this cultural revolution that is happening. So I think that we're gonna over time, become less of a part of the crypto sphere and more normalization in the digital sphere. In the digital sphere. I take that back. In the traditional art world, where digital art is going to be considered art, and the same way that you specify when you say, oh, maybe this is a painting, or maybe this is a sculpture or some other form of art. This is just you specify it the same. This is just digital art. Or if you want to specify this generative art, or whatever you specify that makes sense for that particular work.
Like photography or anything else.
Like anything else, I think that it's very important to note. By the way, we have seen, particularly in recent days, but some very important and massive news really from a lot of institutions that are really embracing this and are doing this the correct way. We saw Centre Pompidou with some major acquisitions. We saw LACMA with the donation from our friend Cosimo that is doing great things for the space. And we saw of course MoMA with Refik. I have been very active as well personally with the collection, with lending or loaning or donating works to different institutions, and it's being embraced. The public is clearly reacting to it. Refix and Adolf, for example, exhibition at the MoMA, I think it's clocking the highest time spent per viewer in front of an artwork that the MoMA has ever faced. There's droves of people every day after more than 3 months in the exhibition, and it's really bringing a fresh air to museums and other institutions. So it's really all coming together in a beautiful way as well. The gallery show with Adam Lindemann, also Refik and Adol now with Jeffrey Dyke, and many other things are happening, and this is just being normalized over time. And I think it's very obvious to see that even though the process is different and you might not be using directly your hands and painting or sculpting, the process is really the concept is really the same, and the output is the same, which is art, and it's got to be normalized.
No, sorry, now it's me. Normalized and also interesting to be part of a new chapter of the art history, right?
Well, again, I'm of course a little bit biased, but I believe that this chapter really has all the ingredients to become one of the defining historical chapters in our history as a whole. Not to discount, again, I'm a huge believer in what those are considered like the tier one traditional contemporary artists of today. I'm a collector of them. I really love their work. But when you think about what this entails for our society, what we've seen with this digital movement, I really do think that the top. I don't like that word, the top, but the artists that really define the most fundamental artists that really define this new generation and this movement, I think are going to be really considered similar to mostly rock stars of today's day and age, and I think as well, digital art now is so accessible, is so welcoming. It's so engaging. Again, the fixed work at the MoMA, for example, you don't need to be a tremendous art lover and connoisseur to go appreciate and have a good experience and have some positive emotions when you're seeing that work. I think that digital art breaks a little bit this barrier. There's a little bit more presence sometimes in the traditional world, and I really think that again, it's going to have a very important presence both in art history and in world history as a concept. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to follow both your site and the artists you mentioned here to see what's happening. But thank you so much for participating in the podcast. It was really interesting to hear your view of this, both with NFT, digital art, and your platform, of course.
Thank you very much, Pontus. It's been a real pleasure and honor, a fantastic conversation, and I wish to do it again sometime.
To keep up with the latest trends and receive weekly updates on the art and auction world, subscribe to our newsletter on barnabys.com or read Barnabys magazine online.